of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Michael Safone, 4th Ward.
Matthew Oliver, 5th Ward.
Ann Schurshin, 6th Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's meeting. It's not a long meeting. The first thing on our agenda for tonight will be a census presentation by John Penny. The second item is a retirement of Darrell Honkala. Next item is a retirement of Lieutenant Gary Holbert. Next item is Detective Sergeant Ralph Cropley to Police Lieutenant. Next item is Police Lieutenant Lazio C. Toth III to Police Sergeant. Next one's Sergeant Colin Bell to Detective Sergeant. The next one's Lawrence Everwin be appointed as a police officer. And next is appoint Carol Schmader as part-time senior clerk. Number 8, extension amendment agreement for stop DWI drug recognition experts. 9, reappoint Scott Cleveland to the plumbing board. 10, approve changes to the handbook. 11, a contract with TRR Utility Cost Reductions, Inc. to do an audit on our telecommunications. 12, authorize a contract with Emergency One for employee screening services. 13, authorize Vassar College Founders Day. 14, an amnesty program for temporary certificates of occupancies. 15, consent lead agency to East Dill Ortega House Lot Amendment and Capilino Subdivision to the Planning Board. 16, authorize re-advertisement of the Hagentown Pump Station bid. 17, authorize Town Clerk Felicia Salvatore to attend the Town Clerk Convention. 18, authorize the supervisor to sign a letter of agreement to Poughkeepsie Joint Water Project with the City of Poughkeepsie. 19, appoint electrical inspectors Jerry Caliendo and Chris Pion. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to discuss any item that's on the agenda? If not, make a motion to resume the rules.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to move number 1 to 6 up ahead of the presentation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jeff?
Be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the retirement of Darrell A. Honkala, Detective with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department, effective February 20th, 2020. So moved.
Second.
Good motion second. Any questions?
Aye. Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Good luck on your retirement again.
Whereas Lieutenant Gary Hulbert submitted notice of his retirement to be effective on January 29th, 2020, which notice the town board accepted, and whereas it appears that the town's record date of Lieutenant Hulbert's retirement must conform to New York State Retirement System's date of his retirement, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the retirement of Gary Hulbert, Lieutenant with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department, effective January 30th, 2020. So moved.
Second. Second.
A motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie hereby authorize promotion of Detective Sergeant Ralph Cropley to the permanent position of Police Lieutenant at the yearly salary of $117,754.84, subject to probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks of civil service law effective February 6, 2020. And be it further resolved, the Town Supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Good motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations.
Resolution 4, be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the promotion of Police Officer Laszlo C. Toth III to the permanent position of Police Sergeant at the yearly salary of $108,118, subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law, effective February 10th, 2020. And be it further resolved, the Town Supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations.
Be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the assignment of Sergeant Colin J. Bell to the permanent position of Detective Sergeant at a yearly salary of $113,523.89, subject to a probationary period of not less than 8, no more than 26 weeks per civil service law, effective February 10th, 2020, and be further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentations required by Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby appoint Lawrence J. Everwayne Jr. to the position of full-time police officer under provisions of civil service law, the starting salary of $61,985.70, effective February 10th, 2020, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 26, no more than 52 weeks per civil service law. Be it further resolved, the supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Carol Schmader to the part-time position, permanent position of Senior Clerk for the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department at CSEA, Grade 6, Step 1, salary of $22,564 per hour, effective February 6, 2020, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this promotion. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And this is where we stop. Mr. Penny, John Penny will be here representing the county to discuss the census.
Excuse me 1 second. Let me see if I can get us live here. Hey, Todd? I lost the mouse part of this. I might have to go without the presentation unless I can figure this out quickly. Bear with me 1 second.
Mark here? No, it's his computer. It's not ours.
It's not coming up there. Hold on a second. Let's see if it is working.
Need help there, John?
Just 1 second, I had to reboot it, I apologize. If it doesn't come up, I'll just give you it the old-fashioned way, which I've done in different towns. But you got all this great equipment here, I'd like to use it. I've been doing this presentation throughout Dutchess County, 30 municipalities, 20 towns, 8 villages, 2 cities.
Do you want to do a couple more resolutions while we?
No. We'll give him a minute.
Let me see if I can squeeze that pop up right away. Okay, give me 1 second. I think I'm going to be okay here. Okay. This is looking promising. This will take longer than the presentation, so hang in there. Okay, we should be fine. Okay, great. Okay, sorry for the delay. I'm John Penny. I'm what we call chairperson of the Dutchess County Complete Count Committee. I've been charged with going around the county, my committee and I, with raising awareness about the importance of people filling out the 2020 census. There's a lot of good reasons why this is important. I'm going to focus on 2, but before that, I just want to give you a little background. We do the census every 10 years. It's mandated in the Constitution, and the charge is to count everyone. And when we talk about everyone, we mean everyone. Legal status is not material when it comes to counting people for the census. And so we do this count every 10 years. After that, several important things happen. One, congressional lines are redrawn based on our numbers, on the numbers across the country. And you might remember that in before 2010, we had 3 congressional representatives in this area. We now have 2. I kind of feel like I should be able to stop my presentation right then, and with the delays, maybe I should, and in terms of explaining how important this is for people to do. But let's see if I can get this to advance. And then we're looking good. If that's not enough reason for you, well, then I could tell you that money's at stake, big money. $675 billion are actually at stake through federal programs. It's about 132 programs, everything from highway to housing money to supplemental nutrition assistance program, better known as SNAP, and something that's near and dear to the hearts of all municipalities, community development block grants. So when you're using grant money from anything from, it could be playgrounds, it could be anything else that you use grants for, your grant writers will tell you, and I'm sure you've all seen grants, that that part of the grant writing process is based on census information. So it's really important for you to fill it out. And I'd like to stop and just say that communities undercounted will get hurt. So perhaps I have you convinced that this is important, and your next question may be, well, how does this work, which is a great question. In mid-March, most of us, the overwhelming majority of us, will get an invitation by mail to fill out their census form. You'll have a couple of ways actually to fill out the form, but for the first time ever, you could actually do it online. And quite frankly, the federal government is counting on, no pun intended, people actually doing that this time around, given that option. It will be a very convenient option for most of us who live pretty uncomplicated lives, don't have 2 houses, don't have a lot of other things to really worry about that way. This process will take anywhere between 12 and 15 minutes. So what I like to tell people is to fill out the form when they get the invitation, do it online, and get on with your life. So I'm a former journalist. I usually identify myself a little bit before I start. I was a journalist at the Poughkeepsie Journal for 20 years, and now I work under a pretty unique partnership between the city of Poughkeepsie and Dutchess County governments. And as a journalist, if someone would have told me, well, there was an overwhelming amount of people get it a certain way, my question would have been, well, how do I get to 100%? Or how do other people get notified? A number of people have P.O. boxes. This is a very important part of the census. The census tracks by address. The census does not send forms to P.O. boxes. So this will have to get to your house one way or another, and we'll walk you through what happens if you don't have a delivery per se at your house. Other people that will be reached differently are people in what we call far-flung places like parts of Alaska and Maine. And one thing I didn't know about the census, I covered it a couple of times as a journalist, was that they actually start to count early. They're actually out there in Alaska counting people now, which I didn't know. I always thought it started in March and April 1st is the official day, but they actually front load a little bit of it, which makes sense. So this takes you through the time frame in a little bit more detail. One thing I can tell you about the census is they're very persistent. They're not going to take no for an answer. They will send you a number of reminders. April 1st is the official census day. That's the date when you're filling out the form that they want to know where you're going to be, where you would normally be on that day. Where do you normally live? If you're on vacation, it's okay to say that this is your house. You're normally there on April 1st, and you would just you would just put that down. So there'll be a series of reminders. And then by the end of April, the census essentially gives up on you, that they're going to reach you the way they want to reach you. And starting in May, the field workers go out into the field and actually start knocking on doors. They'll actually be on a computer. You'll be able to see through census tracks in your town, each area of your town, if you will, what the response rate has been through April. So if you're up, the town of Poughkeepsie has some more difficult places to count than others. But if you're at, say, 70-80% response rate, about halfway through that part of the process, you actually will be able to go online and see that, and you'll see where the census is going to go out in May to make up the difference. Now, this is a very big, it's a very important slide. When I started this process, the possibility of the question of citizenship may have been on the form. It was determined by the courts that that's an inappropriate question to be on the form. I will tell you that I'm personally grateful for that. It should make the count easier, but I think we had a lot of hard work for a lot of different reasons. The form is confidential. If someone is found in violation of breaking that, they face a $250,000 fine or 5 years in prison. This is a very important point to make to numerous people. I'll start with our Latino population. There are obviously concerns about immigration issues. This information, the census cannot share the information. Not only can it not share it with the public or someone who used to be what I used to be, which was what I used to be, a former journalist. They can't share it with any federal agencies, also including ICE. So I'm going to run through. I'm almost finished. This basically shows you who's likely to fill out the census and who isn't, and it basically says that the younger people are less likely to fill out the census. I always stop here to make one very important point, or what I consider to be an important point. Children are historically undercounted in the census, and that goes for a number of reasons. One being that, quite frankly, parents do not like to give out information about their children on any form. But this is one time where it's really imperative that you do that. We need to count everyone in your household. I'll go back to my scenario about trying to get grants for playgrounds, and healthcare, and just about anything else you could think about. This most certainly affects your kids, and the count only happens every 10 years. So Basically summing up, we have a committee. It's a very robust committee. It's 15 members. It's a diverse committee. And when I speak about diversity, I'm not just talking about the ethnic makeup of this committee, but we have people who have been doing community outreach in our communities for decades, and we have younger people who are kind of just making a name for themselves in that arena. But they're in strategically important places to us, like the north side of Poughkeepsie, where they have a really good social media following, for example. Of the 15 members, 4 are bilingual, and they're really helping with the Latino population, which, as you know, is growing in the county, and it's very important that we get them counted, and they're probably our most undercounted population. So I'll end by saying we have a website. The easiest way to reach us, you could just Google it, Dutchess County Complete Count Committee. It comes right up. It's the first thing. And we have an email, completecount@dutchessny.gov. I thank you for your time, and I'll take any questions that you have.
I have.
Yeah.
That being said about diversity, does this form that gets mailed out go out in different languages? And if so, how is that determined?
You can access it. You can access it online in different languages. You could call, basically what you'll do is call. There'll be a series of numbers, and there'll be a specific number for, say, Spanish. I could talk about this a lot, so I'll try to be brief, but I told you all, we've been out to municipalities. We're also working with a lot of other people, the school district, and where I want to go with that is the libraries are very important to this. All the libraries, your library, the whole library system in Dutchess County, the Mid-Hudson system, is on board. It will be what we call a safe place, if you will, if people need to get information, if they need help. The librarians can't fill out the form for the person, but they could get the census on the phone, get information to that person to help, and that will include in different languages.
I think it'd be good maybe to send something to put on our community channel too. Do you have something that would be nice to put
That whole
on?
presentation would be nice.
I have I believe I sent you the presentation if you need it again. There's also a couple of flyers, and there's one very nice 101 flyers. They're front and back. They're great to print out. And one of those, it's the same one. I gave 2 versions of it, and one's in Spanish.
Great.
Yeah, I think they're hanging in Town Hall already.
Do you have the presentation, Jay?
Yes, I have not allowed to get it. We'll get Joyce to get up on the system.
And if you could send it to me too, I'll include it in.
Great.
One other question, does anybody in the audience have any questions? We don't usually open this up, but he's going to be leaving. Does anybody have any questions in reference to the census that you'd like to know?
Did it seem clear? Okay, good.
Because as he stated, you're all students, and it is important that you guys are the ones that are counted. So
Absolutely.
Make sure that point is made. Well, John, thanks for coming.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
No,
I
it's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
If we have any questions, we'll ask Todd.
And I'm glad you suffered through the minutes so I could get this working, so I appreciate that too.
It worked. We may think about hiring you now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mrs. Lopez.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor's execution of the 2020 Stop DWI Drug Recognition Expert Extension and Amendment Agreement with the County of Dutchess, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second?
Motion second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby reappoint Scott Cleveland to the Plumbing Board of Examiners of the Town of Poughkeepsie, which term is effective January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022. So moved.
Second.
And motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 10, be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept and adopt the updates to the Employee Handbook, specifically Sections 817 and 907, annexed here to replacing the Employee Handbook originally dated October 5th, 2005, which a true and full copy of said handbook can be found in the Town Clerk's office. So moved.
Second.
Good motion and second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract with TRI Utility Cost Reductions, Inc. to conduct an audit of the town's telecommunication systems, and be further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does authorize and said execution pursuant to Town of Poughkeepsie Procurement Policy Article 3, B and C, in substantially the form annexed, and be further resolved that the town board does hereby determine that this is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
A motion second, any questions? They're just auditing the bills. They're not auditing anything else. They're auditing the bills. And just so you know, we had the audit for Altice, and we're getting a decent refund. Once we get the actual numbers written, we'll let you know. That came in the other day. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Whereas Emergency One, which provides employee drug screening required shots and various services to the Spackenhill Hill School District, has proposed to provide those services to the town of Poughkeepsie as well. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to the Town of Poughkeepsie Procurement Policy, Article 3, B and C, is hereby authorized the supervisor to execute a contract for professional employee services is substantially the form annexed. The execution of said contract being a type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from Vassar College for its Vassar College Founders Day event to be held on Saturday, May 2nd, 2020, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., and whereas the presence of food and/or booth vendors is a vital part of a successful event, now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does not include food and/or booth vendor participating in the Vassar College Founders Day event as peddlers and hawkers, and these food and/or booth vendors are hereby exempt from the provision of Chapter 151 of the Town Code, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application as submitted by Vassar College for its Vassar College Founders Day event on May 2nd, 2020, on Vassar College property, Raymond Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, pending receipt of a certificate of liability insurance naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas it is in the best interest of the residents of the town of Poughkeepsie, the town, to take such action as may be necessary to assure the proper monitoring and enforcement of temporary certificates of occupancy, TCOs, and enforce their terms, and whereas the town is pursuing the collection of delinquent TCO fees, and whereas the supervisor and town board wish to provide an opportunity during a limited time period for the holders of certain TCOs with delinquent fee balances to resolve those delinquencies in an orderly fashion, which will also benefit the town. Now therefore be it resolved that an initiative known as the Temporary CO Compliance Program 2020, the Compliance Program, is hereby established as detailed in Exhibit A. And be it further resolved that the town directs the building department to notify all eligible TCO holders with delinquent balances of the compliance program and their ability to reduce the balances owed to the town if certain conditions are met. And be it further resolved that this compliance program is a type 2 action requiring no secret review, and that the supervisor is authorized to execute such documents as are necessary to effect it. So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie hereby consent to the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board acting as secret lead agency. Notice of intent paperwork in its entirety can be found in Town Clerk's office for the project known as Eastdale Village Ortega House Lot Amended Site Plan, location of which can be found on the Planning Department memo attached here too, dated January 21st, 2020. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby consent to the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board acting as secret lead agency. Notice of intent paperwork can be found in the Town Clerk's office for the project known as Capilino Subdivision, 655 Vassar Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, tax grid number 6159-04-651113. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved that by reason of the need to modify the specifications for certain trades which necessitates the re-advertisement of Hagen Town Pump Station abandonment and replacement, The Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the town clerk to re-advertise for said bids pursuant to the plans and specifications which will be available on February 10th, 2020. In the office of the town clerk, a pre-bid site meeting for bidders will be on February 19th, 2020 at 11 a.m. And the bidding open will be held on March 10th, 2020 at 11 a.m. And be further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reserve the right to accept or reject all bids in part, in whole, or in part, and be further resolved, the Town Board does determine that this action is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any questions on this one? This is the one that we're rebidding because we only had one bidder last time.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized Town Clerk Felicia Salvatore to attend the New York State Town Clerks Association Annual Convention from April 26th through April 29th, 2020 in Albany, New York, funding for which is included in the Town Clerk's budget. Be it further resolved that Town Clerk Felicia Salvatore is hereby authorized to utilize a town vehicle for travel to, at, and from said conference, and subject to budget limits and applicable town policies, to apply for reimbursement for her fuel, food, and tolls for the conference. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie Town and the city of Poughkeepsie City operate jointly the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Project pursuant to an intermunicipal agreement dated August 3rd, 1995, IMA, and whereas the town and city have been involved in discussions regarding accounting practices and the distribution of revenue from the sale of water to third parties in accordance with the IMA, and whereas the town and city have reached an agreement as to certain issues between them and would like to memorialize it in the annex letter agreement dated January 28, 2020, letter agreement. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the annex letter agreement with the city. So moved.
Second.
You got a motion and a second. Any questions? The only comment I have is on number 2. It says they agree to pay the payment for the reconciliation of $40,000. We'll adjust that. That's been paid.
Oh,
Oh,
Yes, since the time of letter, that part has been paid.
okay, good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize Jerry Caliendo of Campbell Hall, New York, and Chris Pione of Tilson, New York, to conduct electrical inspections in the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to the recommendation of Building Inspector Timothy Sickles, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on these? These are subcontractors, they're not employees that'll do electrical inspections. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for anything anybody would like to discuss in the town, and please ask that they leave their comments to approximately 3 minutes.
So
Second.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody like to discuss anything in relation to the town at all? Come on up, sir.
Straight up to the mic.
You can come up and sit and just state your name. Thank you.
Daniel Rodko. I think we spoke on the phone.
Yep.
Okay. Supervisor Bailey and members of the board, my name is Daniel Rodko, and I'm a homeowner at 15 Misty Ridge Circle in Poughkeepsie, right off Vassar Road. I had a house fire in June of 2012, and I employed a contractor, Unique Contracting. They were located in Vales Gate, across the river. They were employed for the reconstruction of my home. This was back in 2012. My wife and I moved back in during the spring of 2013 after the reconstruction was mostly complete. And we were under the impression at that time that we already had an official certificate of occupancy for the house. I received a letter a couple weeks ago stating that the temporary CO had expired in 2013 and that I need an inspection for an official CO. I called the building department to verify this, and they confirmed it, and they said I would need an official inspection along with fees totaling about $2,700 due to the temporary CO being outstanding for so long. I was told I could provide written requests to the town clerk to appear before the town board to ask that this be waived, and I'm here tonight to ask for such a waiver. I'm grateful for Supervisor Bailey and Board Member Carlos for reaching out to me by phone. I was able to get the town inspector to my house the next day. The only item left on the agenda for inspection was the spring hinge on my garage fire door, which I replaced for about $20, and I got the inspector back out, and I passed the inspection. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll discuss further, as we discussed on the phone, what they do. We passed the TCO, law tonight, but we'll discuss further, and I'll get back to you, or Mr. Carlos, who's away at this time. Probably
Okay.
most likely be me. I'll get back to you on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daniel, just a quick question. I'm
Yes.
assuming that you assumed that the contractor had taken care of that, or that was a part
That's
of what he
correct.
would do?
Yeah,
Okay,
they were working with my insurance, and they were handling all.
handling everything. Okay,
inspection.
I assume so. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
sure.
And that's exactly why we're going with the temp COs, because
Yeah.
it seems to happen a lot, that they
Yeah.
were coming in, the
Yeah.
contractor gets the TCO, he goes, he gets paid, he leaves, and they think
have
it's all
this
set.
conversation.
You know,
Yeah.
we send out one letter, it cross paths, and after that, it just builds, and that's the whole reason behind all this, yeah.
How do you spell your last name, Daniel? R-O?
RODKO.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on any issue at all? If not, a motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to adjourn?
Second?
Scarf on, he's ready to
All
go.
those all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. And John, again, thanks for your presentation. If anybody needs signatures, please come up and see one of the board members. And don't cause a stampede.